get into, which is like the hero's journey. At some point, you get to a place in your life where you realize that I'm here because I put myself here. Because we do an overcorrection of what was done to us. So when we do that overcorrection, it leaves an open space for all of this to happen. What's going on, Mama?
Well, I think lately what I've been dealing with is rebuilding myself.
Through a period of like you didn't even know what you liked, like what your style of dress was, what music to listen to, just really anything, what you even liked about yourself if you go like deep into that, and what you did like about yourself. So you were lost, like
I wasn't
whatever.
lost.
No, you weren't lost. It was like the dark night of the soul stuff. Hmm.
Everything in my life turned upside down, and everything that I liked doing before, I didn't like doing anymore. And I didn't know my future self, but I knew that my past self, me and her, we were no longer a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was kind of like, okay, well, what do I like? And then I don't have the same friends. It was a really dark time for me.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can describe it.
Yeah, you're discovering what you like.
Mm. It's not so dark anymore. It's I'm embracing all of that. And I think a lot of people go through that.
Mm-hmm.
Add that
You
in.
can put it in the show notes.
Oh, it's called 20 something 20 everything. And this is not sponsored, by the way. It's just basically talking about a quarter life crisis instead of a midlife crisis. Helps us understand that transition of your 20s to your 30s. But yeah, it's a really good book. And then throughout the book, it has like little quotes from older people in their 60s. I think it was from their 50s to like 70s, 80s of just advice from women and what, just wisdom from before, what they would have done different, or just any advice they'd want to give to people in their 20s,
Mm-hmm.
in their 30s.
But you read some of the D Wallace one that like sent me like through some fucking like crazy portal.
Mm-hmm.
I even remember what you read, and then that shit just like came through. It was just like for some reason I saw because I was telling you before, like, oh, okay, I'll see like that maybe like we freeze each other, you know, and so like we freeze each other like time in like a space and time of like who you are. Okay, so if I like freeze you in that space and time, then I'm always either comparing you to either a like based on like the past self, or I'm looking for evidence that that still exists so I can keep you in that time frame, and then or I'm like comparing you to a future self, and if I'm comparing you to a future self, then it's, oh, you're never going to meet that expectation, and it's some made up shit anyways, so it's like, oh, okay, do I like just fully accept you like once you reach this whatever idea of who you're going to become or something, or do I just appreciate you now like for like how you are? So like she said something in there and it made me realize because we were talking about like parents, on like past episodes and stuff. It's like how like our parents, like how we grew up was like we would never be able to tell our parents, like at least like our generation or like from what I remember growing up, like I would never have the balls or like the nerve or even want to like tell them like how they are. You know what I mean? Like anything really wrong about them,
Yeah.
you know? And like to do that is like taboo. Like you don't do that. You know what I mean? And then that's what like they would be in like denial of it anyways. Like that's what I always knew like growing up.
When I think about my child, I don't know. So I feel like,
Am I
yeah.
breathing?
I was like, is he gonna stop? Does he hear
I don't want, I'm sorry. I kind of didn't hear it.
it?
All right, go.
I feel like the the kids now, I don't know if they're more in tune or what's going on or why that's happening, but I feel when I think about me as a child, I didn't understand
Yeah.
what was happening. Like I couldn't even identify what my mom was doing
Yeah.
or to be like, "Hey, you're doing this." I didn't know. I barely figured it out when I was older.
Yeah. And but like as I was like getting a little bit older, like teenage years and shit, still like I still wouldn't. And like now it's like feels like more common. But what the reason why that like fucking brought something up was because I was just like, oh, we would never have done that. Plus, that's why like our parents are in denial, probably because that's how they were raised of like how to be proper and a woman doesn't do this and you don't share that. I'm trying to keep it away from my
Mm.
breathing. But it's like shit like that. Like that's the era they came from. So if we never like were able, it like all happened perfectly because we weren't able to tell our parents and talk to them about that. But then what that allowed them to do was like naturally evolve, right? And so when they weren't told about their flaws, they were able to just and they didn't accept it. It's like at some point they know it's like theirs wasn't done through speaking, it was more them through their actions. So as they get older and we see them like with our grandkids and we sit there and we wonder like, fuck, like why weren't you like that with us, you know? But it's like we hold on to that, but what happens is they were able to naturally evolve into just living it now, you know, and they kind of forget it almost to the point where either they forgave themselves or they didn't really have to forgive themselves, right? And it's really us that is looking for the forgiveness in it. So I see that, and then now I see our kids, which is the generation right below us, where they are more exposed to everything. So they're able to like they kind of like go ahead and therapy is more prevalent now, you know, and there's social media and they're exposed to all these different terms and like mental health stuff and emotional things and what these emotions actually mean, and they're actually expressing that more because we as our generation based on our trauma from our parents, we facilitate that, we encourage that because we do an overcorrection of what was done to us. So when we do that overcorrection, it leaves an open space for all of this to happen. So since our parents had a slow evolution through theirs, ours is rapid speed, and it feels like it's going real fast, and it feels like life is hard as fuck. And it feels like life's hard as fuck is because our kids, the environment, society as a whole that we cultivated based on our past traumas from the generation before us and the society that they had and they created has allowed us to have this opportunity, although it seems fucking harder and life was simpler back then in our parents' generation. It seems harder now because we've created all of these issues because all of these things needed to be brought up for our evolution. And I feel like we're evolving super fast. And I believe that the only reason why this is happening and the only way that we're ready for this right now is because of technology, because our kids wouldn't be as evolved and as like spiritual and as open and stuff like that, and have all of the forums and everywhere for them to consume that type of stuff. And for that to be so prevalent now in even pop culture, when you look at like Kendrick Lamar and you look at like the Super Bowl halftime show, and you look at all of the messaging within that and the reprogramming that's going on right now, you know, it's just like that wouldn't be able to happen without technology. So like technology is something that is getting in the way and it's stopping um, our kids growth in certain areas, it's enhancing it in other ones, but it's also they have to have the structure to do it, and that's where like that fine balance like comes in, because there's no getting away from it. I believe that, I mean, you can live in a world where technology, AI, stuff like that can actually propel us and we can work, in harmony with it, you know? And then there's other ways, well, we can get lazy and allow it to do everything for us and just really complain and really go down a dark hole,
Mhm.
and that's like the human experience in it. But I was able to see all that and go, oh, now I have like it's crazy. It gave me like a deeper understanding of the generation before us and why. And it allowed me, because I had like parent wounds and stuff, it allowed me to go ahead and just get to a place where I can forgive because that's the exact evolution that was supposed to happen. Let's just say for my mother, you know what I mean? Or for my parents, you know? and in that they were able to just evolve on their own, and then now I can see their actions and I can see things and pull from that rather than based on the hurt and all that shit that I dealt with. And that was off of like a couple of lines, but that's why I was just like, oh yeah, I need to be smoking weed. What, you read like a paragraph off the book? There was like a couple lines that I was just go, oh shit.
Yeah. What I was sharing with you about that book is that God will always match your beliefs and energy going out.
Oh yeah, I kicked it off. What does that
So
mean?
I I don't know. I was just giving an example of how we say that we'll always have a challenge after we have podcast or
Don't say that again, but yeah.
yeah, or anything. And it's from my understanding and my point of view is that God always says yes to everything we want.
Yeah.
From any religion that you think of, he is known to be loving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why would it be no?
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then that's what got it started, was just explaining that it's always going to match that.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I can use myself back many, many years ago of a dark time that I could think of when it was real negative. My thought process was really negative. I'm always going to be told yes.
Mm-hmm.
So every negative thought or every whatever I thought about myself, whatever dumb decisions I was making at the time, it matched it
Yeah.
perfectly to what,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I think that's real important right now for us.
Yeah. It's like we cast spells. We're constantly casting spells with like what we say, right? So what we say is created. So like even that book that you're reading, so I'm familiar a little bit with her, like with Dee Wallace, but that's what she talks about a lot, is about like what we say and what we speak is like what we create, right? Because what we say and what we speak is what we believe. What we believe is like what we feel, you know, and that's it's like all deep rooted in us. So constantly from that energy, that's what we're giving out, and that's what we're constantly going to see, because like you said, the universe always says yes. So if the universe is always saying yes, we're constantly creating.
Mm-hmm.
And then that part of that book that I'm reading, which is it's going to get into, which is like the hero's journey, right? So at some point you get to a place in your life where you realize that I'm here because I put myself here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then once you get to that point of that, where that's like the awakening, is when you realize that all of my actions, everything I felt, everything I spoke, who I am is exactly why I'm here right now. And it's no one else's fault. You know, it's me. And I got me here. And then you begin that journey of that climb back to where you were, you know, where you don't know. It's not that you're lost. Everything's just kind of upside down, you know, and it's upside down. So you just no longer identify with that past self because you're on that path. It's when you start creating the character that is you. It's not falling apart. It's falling into place.
Yeah.
Character that we play, you know what I mean? That's defined by all these different events and things that we go through, which is life. Eventually you realize that through that separation, you see everybody as like a whole, and you begin to have some sort of like understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and it's no longer through that judgment, and it's no
I
longer,
read
and
that
it's
today.
yeah, and it's kind of just like a balance.
That I have an understanding right now that I'm learning fast. The messages are coming in really, really clear. The reason why that's happening is because I'm having a shift of love, compassion, and the understanding of other human beings. I don't need to judge. It takes it away. It doesn't mean I'm fully not judging anybody, because I think we all do that, but it takes a lot of that away.
So like it pulls you out of the judgment.
It pulls me out of the judgment because I'm being created to receive more and get everything that I want. And in order to do that, that's why my whole life had to turn upside down. Or what I thought was a crisis wasn't. I can't be who I was in order to move forward. The recreation is happening while I'm moving forward.
So I think like in the Bible they say, you know, you walk by faith. So all you do is you just keep taking those steps forward
Mm-hmm.
without knowing exactly where you're going or who you're becoming.
I feel compassion for
Yeah.
their people.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like,
Because
oh,
to
that
feel,
sucks.
yeah, because exactly. So then to feel bad about them is to feel bad about yourself because the only way you see that and
Mhm.
you understand, well, you can see it, but now that you're not judging it, you have compassion for it because you understand it because you know that that's you.
Mhm.
That's it.
Yeah. And I'll play fair, but also defend myself when needed. You don't have to keep everybody in your life or certain people in your life if they don't align.
Mm-hmm.
It's the coolest part is because at that point you let go with love.
Because you love them because they're you and you just see either a past version of you or something in you that you're letting go of.
Yeah.
And sometimes you appreciate if you look at this game of like life, right? And then you begin to appreciate them because now you see them and you go, "Oh, you're here for me and I'm
Mm.
here for you because you're giving them a gift as much as they're giving you a gift, right? Because we've all been those people in people's lives where they had to let go of us.
Mm.
Okay. And what they did is send us on a path now towards, fixing or addressing or whatever any of those challenges that we had that made them have to let go of us, right? Because we didn't align with them. So it's the same thing. We can do it with love.
Reminds me of that clip from Inside Out
Yeah,
with her imaginary friend where he couldn't go.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
And he's like, go get him, Riley.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Also having to like grieve and let go of people. It wasn't that I intentionally cut anybody off or
yeah,
I didn't
no,
do any of that. It was just my life shifted this way. And then that's just how it went,
yeah,
So it wasn't like I don't have beef or anything like
no,
that.
yeah.
It's different.
And then all of a sudden, reality, everything just looks different,
Hmm.
right? Your whole life is different.
Yeah, my whole life was different after that.
Yeah, it's all forgiveness within yourself, right? So those people help you, right? Because we live in a 3D reality, right, where everything like our eyes are projection. We see it all out here, right? So these different people show up in our lives. We have these relationships, and that's why they're so important. So that person that you just let go, right, in your life, and you can look at that, and you can do it with love. That's the part of you that you're letting go because you can't take that part of you with you where you're going. From that point, whether that's with a parent that you've struggled with or that's a child, you know what I mean? If you are the parent, you struggled with that child, a friendship, a sisterhood, a brotherhood, like, whatever, it is, you let go with love and you can address it with love. You can see it like that. Be grateful because they played that important role in your life because that helped you heal
Yeah.
something, right?
Hmm.
And that's why I say we're like voodoo dolls. We fix what's going, like wherever we poke here, whatever's going on here, it changes the reality out there. I feel like you're on your period every week.
No.
Oh, okay. In what ways can you say that you like advocate for me and then do you do the same thing for yourself? That you show up for me in certain ways and then do you show up for yourself in the same way?
No.
Okay.
Oh.
You didn't even that's the second part to
Oh.
it. All right, but like
It's because I was thinking.
okay,
I'm very visual, so when he speaks to me, I stay very quiet,
yeah, you do.
but I'm visualizing everything he's saying,
Yeah.
and I have to put the picture in my head.
Okay. How do you show up? How do you show love? How do you show up for me and like support me and like or hype me up when I need it or like stuff like that?
Okay, I know those things.
Okay, so like how?
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
yes, I understand those words. Next. This is our conversations all the
Yeah,
time.
all the time.
Yeah, miscommunication always. This is I think it's me.
And then I'm like, I already answered you.
Yeah, I think it's me because I have the same thing with Siri. Siri don't be knowing what I'm saying either. You know what I mean? So like Siri just exposes the fact that I'm a terrible communicator with women. I think I'm gonna switch. I think my Siri's a female. I'm gonna switch it over to a male, and all of a sudden we'll start understanding each other. Okay, maybe that's better. Maybe I say it, and then you can like say if you
Yeah.
do it for you.
Yeah, I don't want to know what examples to give.
Okay, so no matter what, I never feel like I'm alone. Like, and I feel like no. Oh, I know it sounds bad. It sounds bad. I know, but it's not. So like even when I am alone, I'm away from you. Like I
Mhm.
never feel like I'm actually alone because like you're always like I don't know if it's like the way you always think of me, but you're always thinking of me and like doing stuff like for me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so like if I wake up, you're like you wake up. You know what I mean? So like if I'm going to work, you're getting up and you're helping me get ready for work and stuff. And I feel like I always have like I'm never alone. So like if I know like it's just like, oh, if I drop something, like bam, you'll pick it up real quick, you know? So like I think that's like a way that you always like show me like love to where it's like I know you got me. Okay? So you always show up in like in those ways. And then you're real good at like you'll put things into perspective for me. So when I'm like going crazy and acting crazy or whatever, I'm kind of like, not like centered, at all, and I'm getting pulled in different directions. You'll like you have like a real calm demeanor and you're good at like not getting rattled with me, and like you'll just like talk to me and like be like it's okay, like you'll put it in perspective for me. So like that's a way that you do it, like you show up for me, or like you advocate for me. Anytime like I have doubt, like whether about doing this podcast or like just anything that we're doing or like whatever work, doesn't matter, you'll like I think you'll always, again, you do the put shit in the perspective for me, like to where it's just like you're not too, it's not like you don't get too emotional about it because I'm already like all over the place, and you're real good at like being calm, like presence for me. Do you think you do that for yourself?
No, I do real well in dramatic situations,
You are.
unfortunately. But
It's
like
in
if
your human design chart.
oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you're like super good in a crisis.
So if anybody's just being overly dramatic, I stay very neutral.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I diffuse the situation.
Yeah. So you're able to do that for me. You do that with the kids. You do that really for like everybody. Where how do you do that for yourself?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I crash out.
so what happens for yourself?
I just told you I
Just crash out.
crash out.
Like what are you going through? Like what are you feeling like when those things happen, and why do you think it happens?
Um, because I don't address it correctly. I don't know. I'm assuming that. That's the only thing that comes to my head right now. But when you're asking me, you're like, do you show up for yourself that same way? No, I don't. Because if I'm spiraling
Mhm.
where I'm ramped up, how you're saying you get, yeah, I'm pretty much fucking done.
Yeah.
Just crash out, baby.
And you do.
You're going down in that plane.
Yeah.
All the lights are beeping. You just hear that annoying sound like
It's just red lights flashing.
yeah. So anybody that's talking, you just see them like
Like fucking Charlie Brown. Womp, 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 womp.
they just piss you off. It's
Yeah.
like get out of the camera view.
That's me.
I'm probably not normal.
Tell me the ways that I advocate for you.
I'll play around with you and talk shit to you.
Mhm.
But if somebody were to say something outside,
Mhm.
I'm very defensive about stuff like that.
You are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like
Because like only I could bully.
yeah. Only you can talk shit. But yeah, that's true. You are very like protective.
Yeah.
You're very protective of like us too. Like your foresight. So like your overthinking is like a superpower too. Because like you're able, and it's crazy the way you do it. You're able to like foresee problems, which sometimes becomes a problem, because you're just stuck in that mode.
Yeah.
But like you're able to foresee shit, and like you go, oh, this is probably going to be a problem. This is probably going to be a problem. So I'm just going to get rid of it now.
Like what?
Like anything, like people on social media or just like whatever. You're very good at foreseeing issues. Super intuitive to that shit though. And that's probably based on your fucking trauma and shit, but whatever.
Yeah.
You're real good at it though.
Do you have an example?
Yeah, like you'll block people on social media because if you feel like, oh, I've had like their bad energy, like their bad energy and shit like that. But you'll do that because you'll be like, hey, you know what? Because with what we're trying to do, that's bad energy coming in because I know them, so I have to block them.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also, this is like from past shit, so they might like want to see our stuff, and like it's just bad energy coming in.
Yeah, I don't want that shit around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you know of it, you can't block it all, but the ones that you know of, you'll get ahead of it. That could cause like problems.
Still looking for you. You know who.
You should be scared, whoever you are. In what ways do I advocate for you?
You show love, and it's also by, I guess, paying attention to detail. You said like really in me,
Mhm.
and like all the little things that I like.
Mhm.
whatever that be, because it's always changing.
Mhm.
So that's one of them. So do you do that for yourself?
With that one, no, I'm not very loving to myself. I talk to myself very badly. Badly with like motivation wise.
Your motivation is different though.
Yeah, mine is
It's
like,
very intense.
yeah, because I have to do shit, and we looked at it through my human design too. So I'm whatever manifest or whatever you call it through willpower,
Mm-hmm.
and competitiveness.
Oh
So
yeah.
mine's super competitive, in which case, like, I need people around me that are also doing good and stuff to motivate me and drive me. So whether that's me versus me, or I get myself around a group of people that are kind of going on the same path. But I get it. I'm super competitive. And those times when I can be softer, like with you, like I'm not as soft, like with myself.
Mm-hmm. Have a structure
Hmm.
for me
Yeah.
because I'm very like
I try to refrain you.
ADHD, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Whatever you want to call it, like, stay on track with like a sort of like a routine or a schedule and stuff like that. And I'm good at like making sure you're on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that it's needed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we have like a goal in mind or like a path that we're trying to go down.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, this is what's needed. And then do I show up for myself in that way?
No.
No. No, it's very difficult for me to do it. I have to like, and I think that's so to the first one, that is how I show myself love.
Wait, how?
Because when I'm like on myself and difficult with myself, you know what I mean? And like making sure I'm on schedule and on time and stuff, and I'm showing up for like, it's teaching me how to show up for myself.
Oh.
Right. So when I do that, that's how I show myself love. And that's how I show you love too. And I'm learning to be softer with you and show like be loving and affectionate, but still by making sure you're on schedule and on time and like have things done and like, on a routine. It's like that's how I show you love too.
You know what's crazy too is that I think I have it written in one of my other journals. I wrote it down a long time ago, but it's funny that you struggle with the disciplining yourself and the structure part because I had it written that that was one of the things that makes me trust you as a
Yeah.
person is if I see you say I'm not going to, I'm not doing or I have to do this or
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, okay, cuz if you're disciplined within yourself, then that's
Yeah.
overall your life."
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was good with that, but it's always been a struggle. So then I was good with that. Let's just say because, we talked like I wasn't in a relationship for like 8 years
Mhm.
before we got together. So in that time, I was able to build that up to give myself some discipline and structure and stuff like that. And then when we came together in relationship, it was like, oh, okay, now I have these other responsibilities, other thing. And you remember, it was like a struggle trying to keep that going. And that's
Yeah.
why it's always been a struggle for me. And I had to build that up, and then things come in and interrupt it, and then I just have to rebuild it back again. But that's how I show myself love. That's how I show you love. But what you're teaching me is how to show like the loving, the affection, and stuff like that. That's what I've learned
Mm.
with you. So that's why you said I'm starting to understand more. So it's not so much showing myself love in that way, it's showing myself love in a way of keeping myself disciplined on schedule and stuff like that. Because when I came home from work today, I came home to a very peaceful, calm environment. You had music playing, you were like reading, and you were like doing the worksheet and like through the book and stuff. And I was just like, oh, that was like it made me fall in love again because I'm just like, ooh, it's so different from where you were before and like how our household is, you know what I mean, or was. And so it's like when I walk into that, I'm just like, who's this new person? You know what I mean? Like it's like the mystery comes back because I'm just like, what's this gonna turn into? And I'm just like, almost like I have a front. I've said this before, but like I have a front row ticket to like your show, and I get to like see how your character is developing and like stuff like that. And so it's just like it's like making me fall in love with you again because it's like who's this person? Because that's stuff that I would do. I would wake up, I meditate, I listen to like certain soul like frequency music and stuff like that, and I would write and things like that. So then when I see you doing that, and it's just like it all happened like perfectly. Way for you to trust me and take that as I'm not criticizing or judging is from me to soften up and have more respect for what you're going through and to show you love. We have one of the children's on punishment.
Oh Lord.
Tell us the story.
Oh, we've been dealing with a 11-year-old.
Elementary school like relationship.
Yeah. There's some drama with Levi,
Mm-hmm.
and he didn't take my advice from many, many months ago about talking to one of his friends' girlfriends way too much. So this kid finally decided that, is that enough? He's had enough of my kid. He basically told him to fuck off. He came, I don't know, I think we're going to get in a fight. I was like, look, if there's any time that you should be honest, it'd be now. And if you don't know how to fight, you should really go ask Ruben to show you some moves before Monday, buddy.
He got in trouble with me
Mm-hmm.
because, and so this like crossed with the other thing he's got going on, and which is probably the reason why he just wasn't thinking and just like whatever, right? Okay, so anyways, you hate when the dog's on the couch. So there's a rule in the house that, and I yeah, I like when the dog's like sits on the couch with me too. But anyways, so there's a rule in the house that Zoe's not allowed on the couch.
Mhm.
So we've had like a long history of like him just disregarding the rules and just saying, "Oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot." Like every time I came downstairs and he's on the couch with Zoe. And I was just like, dude, if your mom, you're lucky it's me coming down right now, not your mom. Like, you know what? I'm going to go talk to your mom because you haven't been listening and stuff. So I come and I talk to you and I talk to you. And then we're like, you know what? I think we just need to decide to like pull it, like just take his stuff. Cause I asked him like this. I was just like, dude, what's it going to take for you to start remembering? Cause every time you want to say that you forgot. I was just like, do you, when you walk into a store, you don't forget that you're not supposed to steal and just take stuff and walk out? And he was just like, yeah, but that's different. I said, okay, well, how? Because it's the rule, right?
Mhm.
I was like, so how? And then he said, well, because everybody knows that and I don't want to go to jail. I said, bet. Then I need to think of a punishment that's equivalent to like you going to jail, you know, which was be to, we decided to like, okay, like, do we take his like devices for a month, right? Because that's for an 11-year-old is equivalent to like jail time. You know what I mean? So I called him up and I asked him, right? I was just like, hey, we're gonna take these away from a month, but I like kind of wanted to give him a chance. And because I'm like, I don't know, I always want to give them chances. But so I asked him, I said, what are you asking him? He's all, well, because, but is there any chance? And I said, what are you asking me right now? I was like, you asking me for a chance? I was like, all right, thank God, because I want to give him a chance. All right. So I was like, you asking me for a chance? Yeah. All right, cool. I was like, so you have to like come to me and explain to me exactly like how and like why this isn't going to happen again, you know, or like why this happens and how it's not going to happen. Like, you have to convince me, dude. And so like he came with an argument. It was kind of weak. And then I was just like, okay, so you're telling me it won't happen again. And now you know the rules and stuff and you'll like remember and stuff. I was like, okay. So I'm going to make a deal with you. Either you take the month right now and no phone, like no devices, or I give you one more chance and then you get 2 months if you mess up again. And he took it.
He didn't want to take it.
He didn't want to take it.
He knew. He said, 2 months is a long time.
Yeah. 2 months
He
is a
talks
long
like
time.
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh.
but I wanted to put it in his hands. So I was just like, okay, rather than us telling you what to do, the power's in your hands. It's not me taking it. You have the power to choose now. Is the decisions that you make that they have consequences and you're doing it to yourself. It's not me doing it to you. So I left it to him. 2 days later, he fucked it up. 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, but then what happened? Okay, so he lost his devices, but then now he's like going through a crisis too. If that's his friend, you don't get involved in their relationship. Like, you shouldn't be talking to his girlfriend so much, even though you guys are all friends, right? Just as a rule of thumb. So, and how I got him in trouble and stuff. And then I was telling him about like, dude, so this kid's angry at you and he has like a history of doing that to like, hey, stick through it or stick to it. And like, you don't need to like take that, dude. Like, you don't need to, what I'm saying is like, you don't need to be friends with him. You don't have to go back and try to make it better because obviously it's something that keeps happening because it's not the first time. So I was like just having like a conversation with them about that. And I was just like, okay, now if this kid attacks you, it's a different story than you do. And I showed him a couple things to do, right? And then I showed him like not like a jujitsu thing, right? Because he's not a fighter, he's not gonna fight, you know?
Yeah, he's real skinny and
Yeah.
slingy.
He's a lover, he's not a fighter. He just wants the peace and he wants to just be cool guy, you know?
Yeah.
He just wants to be cool guy. But sometimes being cool guy and doing that is you're gonna have other guys like come after you. So I was just teaching him, I was just like showing him like some things, right? But then what happened?
Showed him
I showed him the move in
some
case
moves.
because the way this kid's being explained to me is that he like flies off the handle and he's super aggressive and shit. I was like, okay, if you actually think you're gonna get in a fight, like just do this, you know? And so he got cocky, started saying all this shit.
Don't mess with me or you're gonna have consequences.
Like he's some fucking badass.
It was so embarrassing.
Yeah, that's embarrassing for me too, because he's gonna represent me. Like, yeah, my dad showed me how to do this. I'm like, dude, I didn't fucking teach you that.
I was so embarrassed because
That's
of
cool.
the way he was talking shit.
Yeah.
It was so lame.
There will be consequences. Dude,
I was like, what are you, a fucking samurai? There will be
It'll
consequences.
be fucking some medieval warrior. But
Yeah.
he's also still super pissed that so all this is going on in school and he's fucking pissed off. Well, he wants to be mad at me and you for taking his stuff away.
Mhm.
But he's really pissed off at himself. So he has that going on too.
Mhm.
So he thinks he's just gonna freaking fuck. It's gonna be consequences, and he wants to fucking like talk shit. Consequences. No, I know this.
Well, his little brother always gets the crap end of it.
Yeah.
And he used the move that you showed him on him. And I just hear Dragon in the restroom. He's like, "Nah, nah." I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he's like, Levi showed me the thing that Ruben showed him. He did it on me.
He fucking did a takedown and then an armbar on him. Fucking poor Dragon. That's so funny.
Then a few days later, the principal calls me.
Yeah.
Somebody told from the group message, somebody told on my kid. And then that's the message he saw was, there's gonna be consequences.
So funny. If he would have got his ass kicked.
Yeah, the craziest look in his eye.
He would have blamed me because I didn't show him more or something different.
It would have been your fault.
It didn't work. Anyways, thought that was funny. So what's up, baby? You want to wrap it?
Yes, sir.
Hang on here and talking to you like this. TikTok domestic.vibrance, YouTube at domestic vibrance, Instagram at domestic vibrance. That's it.
That's it.
Sign it off.
Later.
Peace.
And don't knock yourself down if you crash out. Just do it. Crash out.